Kind of hot off the topic of near death experience, I think one of the things that I want to talk about, and will be the focus of this video, is I guess generally about health. Because I'm realizing that I'm in a privileged position and that I really can take care of my health now in a way I've not had the opportunity to, at least in the last year. Before that, I could have taken much better care of myself than I actually did. But we'll kind of talk about that. Side note, I just had a conversation with my mother, and it was really nice, as I, should have expected. She was extremely supportive. And, again, I think she did feel relieved that I kind of felt some sort of purpose for my life that was different than just the, basically workaholic guy that I was. And anyway, there's a lot I could unpack about that conversation. I'm just glad I got to talk to her. But anyway, this is that's just because this is how my personal diaries are set up, is over kind of in real time. You'll get updates about things that happen to me and how I process them. But yeah, basically it just feels good to connect. But yeah, so health and fitness and kind of what I think its place in your life is it's probably number one. Your physical health is one of the most important things that you have. You've heard the expression probably that a healthy man has a million dreams and a unhealthy man only has one, and that's to be healthy. So I think that your physical health leads the health of everything else in your life, whether it be your mental health, spiritual health, every type of health. I think preceded by the idea that you're in a good, well-functioning body, pretty much. Or if you don't have a very good functioning body, that it becomes harder to do other things. Now, not that you can't have a disability or have a health condition that and still find happiness in life. I just think that everybody, if you're able to improve your health in any way, you should, because that is going to be one of the main things that keeps you happy. And I've generally been a pretty healthy person for most of my life, probably a little subpar to professionally what I was expected to be in the military. There's just kind of I wasn't ever really super fast or super strong. I was just kind of like this. I was more average than probably you're expected to be. And whatever. Looking, at the time it was of course, something I felt very shameful about. But I was also, I guess, a little lazy, and I didn't want to put in the extra work to, go on the extra runs that I would need to do to be able to just kind of keep the pace that I was supposed to be able to keep a little bit more naturally. Always whatever, good enough to get the job done, but never impressive. There were so many other officers around me that I would just call them impressive, their physical acumen. But I just never really took it as personally as them. But I should have, because I think that if I was in better shape, then I would have, had less anxiety about life. And, I just think that things would have come more easily to me if, I just had less concern about this health issue, this physical fitness issue. But I'd say that my, general take on health is, pick a diet that suits you. There's many that work. Particularly, I have found success in the carnivore or keto diets. Those are kind of, I think, if you're ever looking to lose fat, and you've just been struggling with it for a long time, try carnivore or keto. I would literally try carnivore itself, though, because I think it's kind of an amazing diet. That just makes your body strip the fat off, because it just starts using all of your fat reserves as your primary source of energy, because you're not going to consume any carbohydrates, and it just kind of biohacks yourself to actually work. So I really firmly believe in those two diets as being successful, but I think you can be successful on any diet. You've seen it. I just think that carnivore is a really strong one to use, to simplify, and it's also very simple. But it's kind of a very sacrificial diet. You really want for taste, and I am a guy who enjoys taste, although I'm not really a big foodie. I'd say my personal weakness is like sweets. I really like ice cream, and I like candy, and so those have been something I've kind of, every once in a while I had to just like try and cut them off, and it's hard to cut them off. And I'm sure some people can relate to that struggle. And carnivore allowed me to kind of just make that easy. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, you have to pick and choose between, low fat sugar, ice cream and, regular ice cream. It wasn't an option either way. You know what I mean? So I just kind of, it works really well. I was able to get very lean and get to a healthy spot pretty quickly whenever I tried that. So anyway, those are some dietary considerations I have, but ultimately I'm just not a very interesting person when it comes to food. I wish I were. I should take some time to like kind of refine my cooking skills, because I only really know how to cook a couple dishes that are very, beans and toast type of shit. Like, well, that's not what it is, but just super repeatable, super, just ground beef, chicken, all these things are as the base. And then, typically some eggs or, whatever, herbs and spices. Sometimes I'll, use potatoes and onions and stuff like this, but it just kind of depends if I'm in carnivore mode or not. Really those super basic meals are like my most common ones. I don't really get all fancy. I don't do tacos very much, you know what I mean? Anyway, but I really think you can be successful in any diet as long as what really we all need to think about when you're in the grocery store shopping. If you really want to be healthy, you need to shop around the exterior of the grocery store and not the interior. All those shelves in the middle with all the ultra-processed food, that stuff is basically poison. It's about as bad as alcohol. Now, it does taste pretty good. But like if you think about it, when you're going around the fruits area, the meats area, maybe I really honestly don't even really like a lot of baked goods and just like breaded products. There's processing in that. And if you can just eat raw ingredients, essentially, you're probably going to have a better, not raw ingredients, but, think of them as raw ingredients. And then when you combine them into a real meal, there you go. Now you've got a healthy meal. But, the more processed it is, the worse it's going to be naturally. The more sugar there is. Sugar is something that if you can eliminate it, you can eliminate it. I've struggled with it. But those are kind of things about diet that I think are important to talk about. Calories in, calories out. Very important, of course, but, what you're eating matters the most. So try and keep it to whole foods. Exercise. I think, again, exercise is like probably, I'm not very good at it and I want to improve. You need to exercise in some way in your life. I think some people out here just recommend that, you make sure you get 10K steps. And that's step one, like get 10K steps. Step two might be to do a small, weight training program, 3 times a week, something simple. I really kind of just am super lazy in this space and, I really need a lot more to do, but I am in pretty good health, all things considered. I probably will be kind of going on a fitness journey, more or less, basically, in my own time, and maybe I'll even make, like progress photos, and that'll be interesting to kind of go through. Because I really think that, I got shit to do, so I might as well spend some time at the gym and, spend some time on walks and runs and all this types of stuff. Maybe get a bike. There's a lot. Maybe get a dog and walk the dog all day. I've been thinking about that. Get a little puppy would be fun at a time like this. But that's a side note. So yeah, exercise, like if ever you're struggling with mental health, I definitely think if you're not exercising and you start exercising, you're going to immediately feel better about almost everything in your life, because it really just kind of pulls everything towards that stream of once you start getting healthier, everything else kind of gets easier. I really truly believe that, because there have been times in my life where I've been in really good shape and things felt really good then. When I was doing carnivore, I was at a healthy weight, I was running nice, my lifts were good, like there have been times when I felt really, really good. Just kind of made everything easier. So I think that there's complete truth in it, that if you're feeling sad, take a walk. You know what I mean? It's definitely real. Sometimes just getting your body to move you're going to feel a lot better. As far as like exactly how you should work out, I don't know. I haven't really given a lot of thought, man. I just kind of, threw weights on the fucking squat rack and started squatting and deadlifting and doing whatever. I wasn't super mechanical about this and super scientific about this. I'm not a gym bro. I just kind of, for 6 years in the Army, we kind of showed up to PT, and a lot of the days it was just, we're going to go run. Sometimes we're going to, do fucking this push-up, sit-up workout, or, any type of workout. Some days we're going to go to the gym and we're going to, throw some shit around. I really, there's a lot of depth to that space, and like I have a pretty decent understanding, but I'm just not like the type of guy to come to for advice for that. Not really. So we've talked about diet, we talked about exercise. We'll kind of briefly hit on sleep to say that it's a very important thing to have a good amount of in your life. I don't really know personally like what the best amount of sleep is for me. I'm sure I know that there's a lot of people that work off of maybe 4 or 5 hours a night, and they feel that they function at that level. I actually think that they're like slowly hurting themselves, and I think that you probably need to be more like 7 to 8 hours in bed time. And I guess I say in bed time and not necessarily sleep time. You can't always control like your ability to be asleep when it's time to sleep. But I think if you get very consistent about like when you're in bed and how long you're in bed for, you kind of naturally just get it comes a little easier. That being said, I'm a pretty bad sleeper myself and always have been. I've always had a lot of trouble drifting off to sleep because of basically just anxiety type of thoughts at the end of the day, kind of reviewing the day, reviewing the stupidity of whatever it is I got up to that day. Everybody has these little moments in their life that they probably ponder on that embarrass them or otherwise just kind of consume their thought. And it really is completely optional, but it is so hard to break the routine. So I'm a pretty bad sleeper. I'd say on average I probably get maybe like 6 or 7 hours a night in that realm for, I'd say, most of my life. I'm sleeping a lot more lately. I don't have to get up at 5 a.m. or 3 a.m. or whenever I was getting up before. So sleep is super important. I think that if you don't get enough, like, you might not be able to understand what's going wrong in your life, and it could just be that you're not sleeping enough. And that genuinely could be it. Get some more sleep. What else is there? Again, I'm not super focused in my topics. A topic that I do want to talk about, and maybe I'll make a separate video on that I think kind of is probably the last one I'll talk about in this video, is fasting. Many different types of it. I suppose the most common type of fast to do would be like the intermittent fasting of just kind of really just your dietary regulation windows. So instead of, one meal a day is an example of this. And that's kind of probably the thing that I practice most when I'm being good. I will come home and after work and I'll make my food and I'll eat that, and pretty much I won't consume anything else, any snacking or whatever else, because snacking is really the insidious thing that makes people fat, I think, and was making me bigger. It's just, snacking on shit, getting a bag of almonds or whatever it is that you fancy, or, bag of candy, whatever it is that you fancy. When you're just kind of throwing calories at yourself because you're bored, it's an obesity epidemic in this country and elsewhere. So you really got to pull that in. And fasting or just limited, calorie intake window, whatever it is, it could be you eat only 8 hours out of the day, or you could be only eat 2 hours out of the day. But limiting how much you eat. Some people eat from sun up to sundown. They're eating all of except the time that they're sleeping, and that's why they call it breakfast, because when they wake up, that's the only fasted time they have, and the first meal of the day is breaking that. But I think that there's value in that small routine of just limiting how much you do, because it allows your body to kind of transition systems from carbohydrate consumption, providing that you're consuming carbohydrates, into the fat burning mode. And there's a lot of value into, it's such an amazing thing that the body's able to do, is to store energy in the form of fat, and that animals have that adaptation at all is just so cool to me. And before I just thought was pretty smart engineering, but it really shows that I think it really is just a reflection of like God's genius. And of course that mechanic is there because sometimes you're not gonna be able to get a meal, and so your body starts to eat itself. I mean, so fascinating. But anyway, so fasting kind of is this little superpower that the body has to be able to transition into this using your reserves mode. And people live in able to fast for, over a year. I think like that guy, I think it's just a fascinating story. The guy who fasted for like 382 days and, he lost hundreds and hundreds of pounds during this. I don't know if it's hundreds and hundreds, but it was like over 100 pounds of weight loss. And, that the body really can just do that. Obviously, you have to drink water and, maybe there's an argument to be made about vitamin intake that he needed. But your body has that in you. And we're all kind of fat, so we could all afford to fast a little bit, is kind of the idea. And that when you fast, in addition to just, of course, you're not getting fatter because you're not eating anything. Also, some other amazing things happen in the body that I think are healing in a way that, they don't really advertise, because I don't know that there's any money in not selling you something and telling you not to eat something. But I think that there's a superpower in fasting that's, and personally, I'm going to commit to doing a 3-day fast and just kind of, and no drugs, no nothing. I'm just going to fast for 3 days, starting, I guess, when I woke up just now. I just thought this is a good idea now. And so I wanted to kind of talk about this topic because that is kind of the initial thought I had, is that I'm going to fast for a couple days. Because that is a level, right? Obviously, you don't have to go for until your body is completely out of fat reserves, because it's beach season and you want to get fucking in a bikini. But the point is you can use fasting kind of strategically every once in a while to get those benefits of autophagy and all this stuff that really just there's a lot of scientific occurrences when you start to do this, and pretty much all of them are good for you. In fact, I think almost none of them could be made the argument that it's not good to fast. Other than maybe some concerns about muscle retention. I think you just, again, as long as you use your body's not going to lose it. So, doing some light amount of exercise during a fast, which is pretty much all I'm going to do, is, some light walking. And then my fast is probably going to be no more than 3 days. But, I just feel like my health it's fine, but it's not really, I've kind of let it slip since leaving the military a little bit. And I feel like it would be nice to tighten it up, and it'd be nice to talk about this idea, because it's kind of a topic that I have a lot of fascination with, and I know it's super, super popular online and engaging to talk about a lot of these things online. And there's a lot that we could discuss there, and people are trying to improve their lives practically. And I think that when you do it through attacking your health, or not attacking, but improving your health and having a plan of attack to improve your health, this is one of the most fundamental things about getting better and getting on a better path for your life. Because when you're healthier, everything else falls into place kind of naturally. And I guess that's the overall message I want you to take away, is don't skimp on whatever it is that's holding you back from a health perspective, because, your life could be better if you choose to make it better. And that's kind of the message.